make you so special? Why did he bless you? Think about it. I woke up this morning. Got a smile when I say that shit. I woke up this morning.
We are live with JoAnne Peters. We are live for episode number 75, so three quarters of 100. That is 100 in itself. That's pretty cool.
Woo.
That is exciting. So I told you I'd start off with a story that I've told nobody so far.
Yes.
That scared me last night. It's not that spectacular of a story, but it definitely, like, I was frightened. Like it was in the back of my head, like, all night sleeping.
What happened?
So right before I went to bed, I saw this, like, brown spider up in the corner of my room. And I go to, like, kill it. And by the time it saw me coming, and then I went to, like jab it, and this thing was badass. He jumped off the ceiling onto the floor. That's like skydiving for a spider. And then he jumps off and just lands on my floor somewhere. I pulled up a picture because I know brown recluses are really bad here in Springfield, right? Like,
yeah.
they're like a lot of them around here.
Yeah, they're all over.
And I pulled it up online, and I think it was a brown recluse. And it's somewhere in my room.
That's so scary.
I know.
Oh my god, you have no idea where.
Yes, nowhere. No idea.
Oh my goodness. Hopefully it'll just, like, live its peaceful life and end up in a drain somewhere.
Exactly.
By a pig.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Seriously.
And he was like, clearly it's not just a brown recluse.
How big was
Clearly
it?
this is a ninja. I would say, like, I'm going to be looking like I'm doing that thing where I punch you in the arm, but it's not below the waist. Probably that big, like...
Creepy.
Yeah.
Yikes. Thankfully I haven't seen any bugs yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Crazy.
good. Yeah, we have an ant problem here, too, but I get into bugs. We have gnats here, too.
Welcome to summer.
Yeah, really. They all just came at once, too. I came back down here from St. Louis, like, after a week of nobody being here. And within that week, like, bugs just took over our house.
Yeah, I'd imagine it. They're like, I smell humans.
Yeah.
They're going to be crumbs soon.
Yeah. Go, go, go!
Yeah, seriously.
I love personifying small creatures.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. So you wanted to bring up the question of free will, and...
Yes. So, in your opinion, do you think that we have free will and we make all of our choices? Or that all of our choices are a result of the culture and the environment and the setting, basically, that we were brought up in?
Wow. I know this has been, like, debated amongst philosophers for, like, apparently, like, a long time. I don't know how long. I don't want to say a number and then be wrong. But, I'm definitely impartial. I see both sides of the argument. But if I had to, like, choose a stance, I think I would choose a more, like, deterministic thing that we have going here, that everything's kind of pre-planned.
Really?
I would say so. What would you say?
Well, I see how both sides, like, make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you give yourself, like, the kind of respect and, like, the, like, value that you have the choice to make things, like, do things differently, then you're kind of living your free will. But if you're just, like, thinking, like, oh, this is my life, this is how I live, this is the way it's supposed to be, then you're just letting things being determined for you, and you're just living without free will. And I think that happens to a lot of people because maybe they prefer that, but I think that there are definitely two ways, and, like, kind of how you live determines that.
Okay. That's a really interesting perspective. I've never heard that. So, like, almost like we were talking about before, like, when people are very planned out and they're almost, like, unconsciously, like, acting out of habit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, almost, like, autonomously acting instead of, like, really thinking through and, like, being more consciously aware about, like, okay, if I do this, then this will be the consequence. This will be the result if I do this. Like,
exactly.
Kind of like that.
Like, if you give yourself that authority and, like, think about that, your decisions and, like, every choice that you make will give you a result of some kind, instead of just thinking that you don't have any power, then you're living your free will. Because if you think that you don't have power...
Can you explain that one more time? That's how I cut you off.
Sure, yeah. Kind of like, if you give yourself, like, that power that my choices will give me results, then you're living your free will. But if you're just thinking, like, whatever I think, whatever I say, whatever I do, it doesn't really matter. This is how life is. Then it's just kind of determined for you.
So you're saying it comes down to... So you're saying all humans have this capability of taking in that power of, like, whatever actions I have will lead to this consequence and this, but it comes down to the question or the decision if people are going to accept that or kind of, like, not reject it, but sometimes not even realize it's, like, something you can accept and take control of.
Right, and not even just, like, to accept it, but to, like, know that it has value and to respect that every decision and every thought and action you make has value, then you're kind of, like, living more in control.
Okay.
Whereas, like, everything is a lot more determined for you if you give that power up. And I think...
Wow, that is a really, like, that's a really complex, cool way of looking at it.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, honestly. And if you think about it, corporations and marketing in general, they kind of look for people who don't value their own decisions.
Or their time.
Kind of lost. And they're like, go this way, choose this is great, do this. And people are like, okay. And that's how, like, money is made, and that's how corporations get made, and that's how, that's how people die of diabetes, and, like, it has its good and bads, I guess.
Absolutely.
It can be evil.
That's funny you say that, because I was thinking about that the other day, like, because I'm going into marketing, and I was just thinking on, like, an ethical basis, like, I do not want to market anything that people don't necessarily need. Like, I'd rather, like, maybe it's different if you're selling a product that can add value to somebody's life, but I'm talking, like, a product that literally, it's like, okay, people don't actually need this. Like, they don't, you know what I mean? I can't think of a good example that comes to mind.
Play-Doh.
But that still adds value in, like, the aspect of, like, being fun. Like, kids are enjoying it.
Yeah.
You know, like, especially if it's, like, something that's actually going to harm them and they don't need it. Like, it's actually, like, if you think it through logically, it's harmful, but they're not, like, thinking through their decision as much.
Kind of like children's cereal or something like that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
High sugar content.
That's a good point. Like, children. I would not want to market to children. Like, on an ethical basis, I would never want to market to children because, like, they don't really have much of a choice.
They really don't. And once you, like, begin those patterns, then they're way more likely to continue that in their adult life and continue that with the next generation that they have. True. And so that's why children are such a, like, gold mine of a target audience for marketing, because once they have that audience, then they can secure that like money for the next 40 years or whatever. Like, when you introduce kids to, like, McDonald's when they're young with Happy Meals, that, like, makes them think of childhood and happiness, Happy Meals. Once they're an adult, they're going to keep coming back. And, like, that's kind of the marketing scheme that goes along with a lot of the, like, child-based things, which is, like, the main principle that a lot of the people had, but it's also, like, really not good for the society, and it's just causing a lot of epidemics and just problems, obesity and health issues, especially in America. But yeah, I think it can get out of control. Is, I guess, what I was trying to say.
Oh, it really is. It creates habits at a young age that lead into their early adult life and possibly for the rest of their life. That's terrible. That's crazy.
And, like, that's their goal. Like, that, it wasn't a surprise that happened. Like, that's specifically what they were trying to do.
Like, they're trying to ruin people's lives. I mean, that's probably not how they don't see it, but it's justified with the dollar sign. That's fucked up. Wow.
It is. It's so fucked up. And it's, like, it messes with so many different areas of, like, health, but there are so many different levels of advertising that are going directly towards children. Even the way, like, grocery stores are set up, like, the kids' things are at eye level with children, so they want that more, and so they're more likely to buy it. And so it's, like, every person who comes in is just a dollar sign, and, like, what they're going to buy, and not really, like, how they could best fulfill their needs and continue their well-being. It's more of just, like, how much money can I get off of you as soon as you walk in the door. And it's kind of like a game that you start playing once you're born in America. Like, whether you like to acknowledge it or not, it's going to be played.
So your parents are such a big role. Like, informed parents are everything.
That's true.
A really good example of that, for those habits to never be established, is my mom never allowed me to drink soda growing up. And now when I see it, like, I'm also able to view it like objectively and logically to like okay, what is this? This is something that is bad for me. Like in that small glass, there are, I don't know, all these like syrups and like fake flavorings and all these things that could potentially lead to cancer. Probably 30 grams of sugar in that thing. Like that's how I see it, but I've also met people that don't even see it as a choice or not if they're going to drink 2 sodas that day. You know what I mean? Like oh, I can't go without soda. It's like think about what you're saying. Like why can you not go without soda? Is it because you've been drinking it your entire life? Like if that's the case, then I feel bad for you that you think that you can't go without soda and that your parents and that's just one example, but like
how normalized it is.
Yeah.
And it's like not even thought about, and it's like can change so easily.
True.
So avoidable, but just not, because
I would like a more conscious culture. I think a lot of people would push for that.
Definitely, and I think it's happening too. Like especially with the current generation that's emerging, our generation. You know, more and more like zero waste people are coming about and sharing their story, and I mean, veganism is like on like a 400% increase since like the last 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
I read something random like that. Huge increase.
Is the big push away from like meat?
Yeah, I think there is a big push against meat.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I like meat a lot, and I don't even necessarily disagree with that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, even like people who love meat, like if you could just eat a little bit less.
Sure.
Like not every meal, just maybe like one meal a day you have meat. That's sustainable. Or like for dinner have meat.
Because what we're trying to say is that there's actual societal problems now with how much meat we are consuming.
Exactly. Like the consumerism and how it has played a part in our lives for so long has brought along problems that are hurting our standard of living and are hurting our societal well-being that could be fixed, that are being fixed, thankfully, finally. But I think that right now we're kind of just now seeing the results of all of the problems that
Why
are
do you
happening.
think we're just now becoming aware of these things?
I think for a long time it was just not considered a priority or relevant in our own lives. And if it's not a priority or if it's not relevant in your own life, then it's hard to give it like respect that it exists and that it's a problem, because you're just kind of concerned with what's going on. But I mean, more and more stories of whales like getting that washed up on the beach from eating 800 plastic bags are being shared.
Ugh.
Yeah, and climate change is happening, and I think the extremities of it are happening, and people are finally seeing it and like letting it be real.
And the fact that climate change has become a political topic is just ridiculous to me.
Well, that's another thing. It's because of it's because of money.
Which is also something we created. It's something we created that is destroying us. Like, because that is a good point. Like meat really is actually affecting the environment. It is affecting you on a daily basis. Maybe you can't feel that, but if at the bare minimum, it is affecting somebody you probably know, or so, at least a fellow human, a fellow man, like in this world, is definitely affecting, because we're cutting down the rainforest for agriculture, and then that's ironically. They're burping and pooping out methane, and that's just adding to the methane in the atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the only reason meat started being like consumed at such a high rate was because of mainstream advertisements and like kind of like nudging in this kind of direction. And just now people are sharing their stories about being vegan and sharing these incredible like health stories and like personal records of like diabetes going away, or just like random little ailments going away after eating clean.
Good for all those people.
People are seeing like that it makes a difference. But yeah, I was gonna say something else. I don't remember.
We never. This all started with the free will topic too.
Yes.
Do you have anything to like add on your point? That is a really cool perspective, by the way. I like that.
I just think it's important to just know at all times that your choices and your thoughts have immense power, and will lead your life in different places. And it's hard for, like, me to remember that, too. Like, it's not an easy thing to do, but I think it does kind of change your life. And it also, seeing somebody who's living that way is kind of like just a demonstration of what you can do, too, if there are other people who are...
Seeing people living what way?
Like, living with giving themselves the power to, like, know that their choices make a difference. Like, people who, like, understand that with themselves and, like, just don't let other things get in the way.
Absolutely.
Because it just shows people, like, you can live differently.
I feel like it all starts... So you're saying that people's choices, so their actions, sometimes actions, most of the time, I feel like actions and choices are synonymous, right? I guess you can make mental choices, like, oh, I don't want to think about that anymore. It's not at the same time, but it all starts with the intangible. It all starts with your thoughts, which become actions, and then produce different results. So, like, in a way, if we could somehow elevate consciousness to a level that people are thinking more for themselves, and maybe not even necessarily themselves, and they could think, like, more interdependently as well, but, like, thinking more, like, thinking through their actions more, like we were saying, with a more conscious, like, society. I think there'd be a lot of societal benefits that would come with that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, but there are also so many obstacles against, like, that happening. Like, for example, just advertisements in general.
Consumerism.
Yeah, any kind of advertisement is kind of, like, telling you to make this decision. And so it's, like, it's kind of like everything in life is kind of setting you up not to do that and not to value your own choice. But you just have to internally know that your choices have power, no matter what, like, you're seeing around you. Because, like, you're guiding yourself, kind of.
That's a good point. That's one thing that Kanye West preaches that I'm a very big fan of, is, like, he's very big on the aspect of, I just love how anytime you bring up Kanye West, like, you get a cringe. You get a little bit of a reaction out of somebody. Like, I saw you cringe a little bit. That's just so funny to me. But he preaches that if people were more, like, confident just in themselves, and, like, how our culture takes away from confidence so much and beats people down to think that they're nothing, or to think that they're worthless, or think that they're lesser. Like, if we could just distill a confidence in, like, humanity, a lot more awesome things are going to happen. And
oh, yeah.
I couldn't agree with that anymore, honestly.
Yeah, I think that taking away someone's confidence and, like, someone's kind of, like, your self-worth and your identity are so important. And, like, when you have trauma that harms that, like, it's a vulnerable position to be in. And you kind of let things, like, guide you different ways. And that's, like, another thing. I feel like that could also be used as a tactic to get people to, like, stop trying, like, making their own decisions and just, like, start observing and, like, listening to, like, ads and just things in their environment. Like, if you get rid of confidence and self-worth and identity and, like, replace that with, like, consumer goods or just, like, very stereotypical things that...
Or lower all those things.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. And it just makes you more susceptible to just be part of the... Just be, like, a price tag. Just be, like, money to be made.
Absolutely. That is, like, that's a huge incentive for why, like, especially in a capitalist society, absolutely. Like, you really... Like, I just see so many people, like, have so little control over their lives, and there's, like a... I feel like kind of what you were trying to describe there is like a plastic bag, like, floating in the wind, kind of. Not to reference Katy Perry, but, you know, like they're just kind of going whichever way the wind blows them. Like, whatever the world determines for them, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. It's so frustrating to see, too, because, like, I feel like those are the kind of, like, the people who are very strong against something or very strong for something, and that changes all the time, and it's just like, you just gotta figure it out on your own. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. Like, it's hard to do, but that's what you have your whole life for.
It isn't easy. Do you mind if I, just because I don't think I've ever, like, talked about this on the podcast, do you mind if I give you my interpretation of, like, free will and, like, why?
Yeah, no, I would love to hear it.
So, The reason I would believe that it's like more like determinism than it is like free will is because of my own subjective experience of this existence. Is I've explained to you before, I've been doing these videos for like 3 years now, and I've just like always like, I don't know, like it's weird because I don't really feel like most, like people think it's cool, but like most people don't care. And like even my parents, like I texted them today about the guest I'm having on tomorrow, like all excited. I'm like, this is the biggest guest I've had on yet. Like, oh my goodness, this is the biggest guest. This is so cool. And I don't know, like there's just this like energy that I almost feel like has been like subconsciously, this is how I am choosing to interpret it, whether that be for my own personal gain or whatever, but I just feel like there's like this like subconscious desire that's almost bounces back between the point of like an unhealthy obsession and like a hobby. You know what I mean? Like I just like love doing this, and there's so much energy flowing towards it. It's almost like it like is leading me to something else. And I know this sounds kind of like abstract, but
so why do you think that free will is determined for you then?
Free will is determined for me because that's the thing, is like I also believe in free will. Like I believe your own, like I feel like, but whether, I guess the question comes down to whether free will is an illusion or not. Like whether it's already kind of been predetermined, like your thoughts.
So do you agree that your thoughts are predetermined, or that this has given you a way to just do it yourself?
I wouldn't say I believe either one, but I would say if I had to believe one, I think your desires are almost predetermined.
That makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that.
Like it's just very bizarre to me, like how, like some things I just like really love doing, and then other things I don't, and it's almost like everything's almost too perfect, at the same time chaotic, but it's almost like too perfect to like what if every single person wanted to be an accountant, or like what if every person wanted to be a celebrity, or like whatever it is, like every person wanted to be this. It's kind of cool how we're all like so cohesive in like what we want to do, and like how it like yeah, there's scarcity in some markets and some employment areas, but like it's kind of cool to me. Yeah,
I think that like you have those desires for a reason, and if you're good at it, then you should like let that drive you, because I think that has to do with your path, like your life path. Like obviously you're doing this for a reason. If you're getting like all of this positivity from it, and it like feels good to do, and you're good at it, then you should keep doing it, and it's probably gonna lead you somewhere.
Yeah.
And like if you just don't listen to that, then you're just not listening to your path, and you'll be lost. You know, it's just gonna be harder to find yourself. And I feel like I've seen that happen.
And find meaning.
Yeah, and purpose, and you're just fulfilling bills and paychecks, and then you're like, you lose your own identity.
Absolutely.
Like,
you're saying that you see people.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen people who like have had the drive to do things, but have just kind of like put that to the side because it's not super important or prioritized, and then years later they're just regretful and they end up doing it. Yeah,
true. Yeah, it's almost like, well, maybe that's a part of what's driving that desire as well. Because I realize if that's a huge part of why like I started this now, especially like whenever I like wanted to do it, I'm like, well, am I gonna regret it? Am I gonna regret not doing this? Am I gonna regret not at least trying? And the answer to that is yes. Like I would definitely like be like, damn, what could have happened? And maybe that just intensifies the desire. Maybe it like started as this, and then all these maybe certain thoughts were like, well, why not do it? Why not do it? And then this led to this, and then just intensified all of it. And you could still use that argument like, I guess it comes down to, those thoughts predetermined, or are they like your own free will?
That's true. That's really interesting.
I don't know what I think. It's such a complex like topic that I don't think I'm smart enough to know, so I don't hold an opinion.
Yeah, and there are so many answers that are true.
True.
There's not a wrong. Well, there are so many right answers. There are probably wrong answers, but yeah. Yeah, I read a book that was like that. That was about like following like basically just like what makes you happy, and like that's your soul, and if you keep doing that, then you'll attract it to your life. And so,
it's a cool perspective.
do you like think that? Do you think that you're able to attract those things in your life, like the law of attraction?
I don't know. I guess time will tell, because I definitely, I mean, it's not even knowing the knowledge of the law of attraction. I think I do believe it more than anything, because it makes sense, because everything that's tangible, like, that humans have created has started off as intangible, and I do think your thoughts have a lot more power, like you were saying, like a lot more value than we like take into consideration. And I don't know, I think there's something weird with thinking. Like, I think they're like with the, I don't know, like friends will say something and I'll be like, wow, I was literally just thinking of that, or I'll be thinking of a friend and then they text you, it's like, wow, that was in the ether, like like that is very bizarre. And these are very abstract thoughts, but I enjoy exploring them with curiosity and an open mind.
Yeah, I think that's how they should be explored. I definitely believe in the law of attraction. I think that if you have a certain idea or value system or goals, then no matter what, you start to see that.
True.
Like, really, like, even if it's the most basic thing, if you have a truck, you start to notice other trucks, you know? Like, the most very, not complex way to explain it. You know, if you have something, or if you're thinking about something, like, you're going to notice it around.
True.
But if you, like, just let it be in your subconscious, and then just, like, realize that you're being brought into situations, and, like, letting that, like, just give, that's another thing, just, like, giving that its own power, and, like, respecting that.
Giving what its own power? Just
everywhere you go, like, everywhere that, like, life kind of takes you. You know what I mean? Like, every situation you're in with everybody you meet, just, like, giving that respect and power to, no matter how mundane it is.
So, like, for example, right now, where, like, I'm sitting down with JoAnne, like, I'm giving this situation, like, power. So you're saying, like, giving power to the moment. And, like, enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah, and then I think that if you do that, then you will be taken to somewhere else to recreate that again.
Okay.
Basically, like, everything that you think and feel and bring yourself to think and feel, you're attracting that in a future situation.
Okay. It's almost like a collective whole, yeah. And it does make sense, too, that your thoughts sink down in your subconscious, because your subconscious mind is interesting. I think, like, on that topic, like, in determinism or free will, like, if I were to argue for determinism, I would say that your thoughts are subconsciously arising before they actually happen. And there's actually evidence to, like, support that as well. Like, on an fMRI scanner, they've been proven to show up, like, the earliest one I've read about was, like, 7 seconds before that person was consciously aware of that thought.
What? That's so cool.
Wild. That is wild.
That is so cool. Don't we
Whether
only use, like, a third of our brain's capacity when we're conscious?
I heard that, and that was actually refuted on this podcast. Yeah. Episode number 51. I haven't memorized.
Oh, well,
I have a lot of these
what's the conclusion?
So we thought that it was only like 10% of your brain, and although you do only use certain parts of your brain, like right now we're probably using the part, I don't know what part it is, but like the part that for like communication or like communicating or like language or something. I'm assuming that falls in the same category. Anyway, we throughout the duration of the day, though, you end up using about 100%.
That's interesting. So it's just not all at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like on a typical day, that's what they said. But
okay.
I guess what's a typical day for everybody?
Well, that makes sense. If you're just doing the same thing all day, then you're not using all the power your brain has.
True.
Cartwheels and stuff. Dang, I always thought that I had like 2/3 of brain power that I could like use if I tried hard enough at some point.
Alright, just focus, alright.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get a little bit of that 2/3 right now. Come on, finals week. Come on. Let's go. And on the topic of the law of attraction, I think it's really interesting. Where I see it most prevalent in, if we're like trying to like collect any like evidence of it existing, is amongst like people. I'll notice like certain people, like they'll just be kind of, you could say drawn to you, but also at the same time it's like, whoa, like you met this person that was you're kind of drawn to, and then they change the outcome or the course of my life in this way. That is interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like if you like run into somebody more than once or something like that, you're just kind of attracting them. Do you think that you attract bad people into your life too?
If you're thinking on like negativity, I think negative people and complaining people they reciprocate the exact same.
That's true. Sometimes if I meet someone really annoying, I'm just like, God, what am I doing in my life?
Alright, I'm just gonna sit here and ponder my existence while you ramble on. That's funny. That's funny. Or maybe you could say that you subconsciously attracted them because you are bringing them into your life because you're going to realize that their bullshit isn't what you want to realize. You're going to overcome that obstacle.
That's true.
So you choose to view them as such.
Yeah, just like define yourself a little bit more.
Yeah.
On what you're against. That's true.
So, do you have any like other thoughts? Any last words?
None.
None. Like what kind of none? Like
funny.
I don't know why I was imagining a nun with like machine guns or something. Just a badass.
Oh my god.
But I went to yoga in the park, recommended by you yourself, JoAnne, and I went for my first class ever yesterday, and yeah, so I just want to talk about that versus how you're pretty understood in yoga, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I know yoga more than any other sport for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I've been practicing yoga for about, oh my god, 4 years now. I started when I was 16, just like
oh wow,
doing a lot in like high school. But I'm no like instructor yet or guru, but it's definitely something I enjoy, and I know a lot about it, I guess.
That's really cool.
It's fun.
I didn't realize you had been doing it so long.
Yeah, I guess it just added up. Started when I was 16. I lived right next to a yoga studio, and they had an early bird class at like 5 a.m., 5 to 6.
Oh wow.
Or no, it was 6 to 7, and then I had school at 7:30. So that was what I did.
You went before high school. Wow. Respect. I bet at the same time though you're like, well, how could I not go before high school? Like I feel so grounded. I feel so relaxed.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it, especially during the summer, and it got really warm out because I was really close to the studio.
Uh-huh.
So just go there, then like go to school and like have a much better day. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
If you're looking for a studio, Essential Yoga. That's where I run. And it was
Essential Yoga. You heard it here first.
Yes. Shout out to Sherry.
What are some of your favorite parts about yoga, like overall?
I think that it just reiterates like your consciousness, and like doing yoga, I kind of like feel my energy level just change.
Okay.
Like to be at a more relaxed or peaceful state or more energized even. But it definitely like there's a shift in like how my body is feeling, not from really like something that I'm doing, but just like how I'm using my muscles and like just how you're stretching out the tension that your body just has throughout like an average day.
Okay.
Because you go through certain tensions and you hold them in your body, and you don't really get to let them out unless you like stretch or exercise. And then like when you're doing yoga, you're allowed to just like let it all out and just stretch and just build strength and connect your breath with your body and like feel that power and control that it has. And that's why I really like it. It really like just clears my mind.
Wow, that is interesting. So what do you mean by connect your breath with your body? Like same, would you say with your mind and your body? So like all three are connected almost? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, well, there are actually a lot of scientific studies that have shown how yoga changes like your mental state of being,
wow.
like your mental well-being. But during practice a lot of the time, they'll tell you when to breathe, like inhale and stretch, exhale, stretch deeper, like that. You might remember that, but it actually is telling your body that, like, it's syncing your breath with your body, and like syncing your lungs and your circulation, like with your muscle and your like muscular connection or whatever in your body. And so it's like acting as one throughout the entire flow. And so it just like, it kind of creates like a shift in energy.
Okay. I've yet to experience that. That sounds really interesting.
it's really nice. You can just like clear your mind and get into a flow. Then it helps.
So it really is a form of meditation, at least for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I feel like I was so much of a novice to the sport that so yoga is a sport.
Well,
I'm calling it a sport. I would consider it kind of.
Yeah.
What defines a sport anyway? But yeah, like I was such a novice to the experience that I was so. Like, I was just looking around constantly. Like, everybody, like, okay, like, what's he doing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I holding this correctly? Like, what are they doing? Oh, she's got her thumb up her butt? Okay, I gotta do that. So, I didn't experience the calmness that I've heard about. But I've also, it wasn't my first yoga practice, because I had done yoga in my apartment last year, probably, I don't know, at least like 10 times or something. Like just yoga online, I like pull up it like on YouTube or something.
Yeah, for sure.
And but something I found really interesting was like my shoulders were dead. My shoulders were dead. Like I couldn't hold like just constant. I felt like everything we were doing, like the main strength that focused on was my shoulders. Nothing else felt like super tired, but like we'd have to like hold them up like out here, like Warrior One, like switch over here.
Yeah, a lot of the poses aren't normal, like muscle. Like you're not working your muscles in a normal way, in like an average way, especially if you just work out and go to the gym, because you're moving your limbs in weird ways like that, and it's calling upon different muscles to be used and like stretched. And so, yeah, especially your shoulders, because so much tension is held in there. So a lot of poses are focusing on like opening up your shoulders and like,
really
opening up your heart.
Do you know any science about like why the shoulders hold so much tension?
Well, there's I don't know any science, but there's a theory that if your shoulders, like basically different parts of your body hold different tensions for a certain reason.
Okay.
And so a lot of people like accumulate tension in their shoulders after feeling overwhelmed or feeling like theoretically the world is on your shoulders, like you're just responsible for a lot. You just are weighed down, and it kind of like builds in your shoulders. That's kind of the theory behind that.
That makes sense.
But in that, there's like a specific reason for each part of your body. If you get into that, I just really know the shoulders.
That's really interesting though.
Yeah, it's.
And like you were saying on the gym earlier, like how if all you do is go out and like work out at the gym, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to like hold particular positions because it's working different types of muscles. And I would agree with that. It's also a different type of workout for your muscles. Like I felt like it was very like stabilizing. Like, can you hold this position for like 2 minutes? Like, can you hold this? And so it was like stabilizing muscles versus going to the gym is like exerting like force. Like push through this. So it's working like more. I would assume they're like different. I know there are different muscle fibers with like fast twitch and slow twitch, but I would assume stabilizing would be its own thing, or maybe slow twitch. I don't know.
I'm not super sure, but I do know that a lot of people, like even people who go to the gym a lot, after like doing yoga, they're really sore after that, because it's like you're just stabilizing in one area, so it's like you're not just going and going and going, and so you don't have like that adrenaline. It's just like right here now, and it kind of like puts pressure on your own weight and your own body in like in that moment itself. Like how much can you do? Like
okay.
how what balance do you have? Like kind of like that. Whereas like the gym, it's more like really adrenaline based, like running, jumping, or like lifting. So
especially for guys that are always depending on that testosterone to fuel them through their workout, or that flow of energy.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I did, I only did this at one point. I feel like this is the most like appropriate approach to take with it, but I just like when I held it and I started like feeling like the pain, and my mind was like, okay, like stop. And I was like, no, I'm gonna power through this, and I'm just gonna focus on my breath. And that's exactly what I did. And you can really like tone out pain. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, I'm just gonna like fuck this pain I feel in my arms right now. I'm just gonna slowly focus in on like my breath and what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and especially like being strained in a position like that, you can really feel your breath and, like, how it affects your body.
True.
I've had an instructor before, like, really focus on that, and she'd always be like, all right, feel the breath inside of you, like, feel it start in your stomach, and, like, let it grow and let it go, and, like, you can just kind of, like, focus on it. And you don't really do that in the day-to-day life. You just are kind of going and, like, whatever's going on. You're not really, like, focusing internally on, like, everything that's happening to make you alive, which is kind of cool.
That's a really good point. Makes it definitely, because I know they're like gratitude types of meditation, which meditation and yoga are definitely very synonymous. And I would imagine that's got to add gratitude. Like wow, like all these internal organs, all these cells working together to make me, like just for me, really? Like, thank you. Like, you know, like, even though it's like you technically doing it, it's still like, wow, like I can be grateful for these, like the mobility of my hands. And that's why I love meeting people that are like, I don't know, maybe somebody who's been in a wheelchair their entire life, and like they just have this awesome outlook on the world. And it's like, wow, it took you being in a wheelchair, but then I know other people that are in like great shape and like hating life. And it's like, it really just comes down to perspective. It really does.
Yeah, attitude really is everything. You know, just like your own perspective on how things are. And if you just realize, like, the divine organization that your body holds and that enables you to live and breathe and move. And just, like, basically everything that's around you, too, that's helping you to, like, have life and survive. When it comes down to it, like, the most basic, like, reasons for existence and survival, you're doing it and you're succeeding. It's kind of cool to appreciate every now and then. You know, have some grounding. Absolutely. Whether you get that from yoga or somewhere else, like. Yeah, I think that's why I go to yoga.
Is yoga good for your joints as well? Because I felt some things pop, and I was like, okay, that's probably good. I'm thinking that's good.
It's good for your joints, just because it increases flexibility.
Okay.
I think, like, for the record, if things pop, it's probably bad.
Oh.
But it's probably fine. Like, increasing the flexibility within your joints helps you a lot.
Okay.
A lot of, like, older people do yoga, and it helps them a lot with their joints. So, yeah.
That's definitely one advantage I had going into the experience, is I'm definitely on the upper end of like flexible people out of like males that I've met.
Nice.
Yeah, because I stretched a lot like playing soccer growing up, because it like helps speed and like also like prevents injuries and all that. And then started jiu-jitsu last summer as well, and there's definitely an emphasis even more than soccer in jiu-jitsu on flexibility, because flexibility is so big in jiu-jitsu. It really is.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is like attack yoga.
Yeah. Attack yoga. I like that.
Yeah.
I bet I would love to see like some of the most flexible jiu-jitsu people like with the most flexible yoga people. I bet it's comparable. I bet it's more comparable than you'd think.
I bet.
I would still bet on the yoga people because it's their thing, but
yeah. And there's a lot of strength that gets built too, along with flexibility, which is cool because you're not just having strength, you're having like a full body, like flexibility and strength being wrapped into one workout. And it's like a grounding, calm, like clearing experience.
Mental clarity, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I go for. It can be intense or it can be tranquil. Like, it can be whatever you want it to be.
It's definitely something I want to get into more. It's definitely something I plan to like implement, whether that be just the TV. I guess I have no excuse. I have no excuse not to do it at least like once a week. I think that's something that'd be worth it.
Nice.
That's how I used to view like working out the same way, like objective, and I still do. I just like when I was like motivating myself to work out all the time. When I was trying to form that habit, I was like, okay, like what's good about working out? And I just listed all these things, and I was like, okay, what are the benefits if I don't? And I'm like, okay, like working out's good for your mind, it's good for your body, it helps with longevity, hydration if you choose to diet and all that, like better nutrition, like all these variables. And you could say the exact same thing with yoga. It's like, why not? Why not do it? It's gotta be healthy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of what I kind of told myself too. And that's why I just started doing it at my house and like set it up on TV and just do yoga for 20 minutes in my living room. hurting no one, like costing nothing.
Yes.
And
yes.
I feel better afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which primes you for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think that goes with just like kind of living consciously, like using your time consciously, which is hard, but
that is a really big topic, like what we were talking about before, like conscious use of time. That's something I put an emphasis in my own life, like in the past few years, because I realized like in the past I really wasn't that conscious of my own time. I was just kind of I was closer to the plastic bag, like floating, like I have 6 hours, I don't know what I'll do, you know, like I'll just do whatever, I don't know, watch TV or something like that. And I've shifted my focus to like, I have 6 hours, that's like I see it as an opportunity now, instead of like, here's 6 hours I have to kill with whatever mindless entertainment I choose to consume my mind with.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely a goal of mine, is to use my time more consciously, and not just like planning things, but just like just kind of like just doing what I want and doing what I think I need, would like what I need that would benefit my well-being, and just doing it.
Totally.
Just getting up and doing it, because that's the hardest part. Just like getting yourself there, and then once you're doing it, you're done and you feel better.
So disciplined use of time as well.
Yeah.
Totally. Here's an opportunity in the next few minutes or however long that I can do this to better my well-being.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing is, it's so subjective. Everybody has a different way of achieving that.
Right.
So would you like to talk about your studying abroad experiences in Costa Rica, Panama, and Spain?
Sure.
Those are the 3 countries you visited, right?
I visited a total of 9 countries when I was in Europe, but I studied in Spain.
Okay. Would you like to talk about Europe first? Because I plan to backpack. Like, I plan to do, like, an excursion like that.
That's so exciting. Yeah, you definitely should. Well, I studied in Madrid, Spain, which is...
You were in Madrid?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in Madrid. I thought you just visited there. Wow.
Oh, no, yeah, I was living there. It was awesome. It's beautiful. The culture is great. Food is great. You should visit. Nightlife is great. I loved it. And it's like only 6 hours away from Barcelona, so you can drive there.
Oh, really? That's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Did you like Barcelona or Madrid more?
I liked Barcelona more personally, because it was kind of a little bit more laid back.
Okay.
Madrid definitely had a very business vibe going on.
Okay.
It's a city, you know, it's the main city of Spain, so it was very like businessy and kind of faster pace, just like in the way they talked and how life was lived. But there were also a lot more options going on, and it had a lot of authenticity to it, because there were significantly less tourists going to Madrid compared to Barcelona. So
no way.
Yeah. Which is strange, because there's so much to do in Madrid. Like, it's like a hidden gem. But a lot of people end up going to Barcelona. Barcelona is really cool, and it has a lot of English because of that. A lot of the wait staff knows English.
Okay. And
most people know English. And it has the beach, of course, which is nice.
They better, because America speaks English.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting.
Yeah. There's cheaper wine in Madrid, though, so...
Incentive. You sold me. Oh, if I backpack Europe, I would hit both of those cities for sure, 100%.
So my friend actually just landed in Amsterdam today.
Really?
And she's backpacking Europe by herself.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's going to, she's just graduated, so she's been planning this for a while. And I'm pretty happy for her. She's going to, like, Amsterdam, Barcelona, Florence, Italy, Rome, and somewhere else. And I think she's going to be gone for Paris.
Europe is so cool. All of those places sound amazing.
Yes, that's awesome.
And isn't there something, did you go to England at all?
Yeah, I did. I visited London.
How did you get there?
I flew there.
Okay.
I flew the entire time, besides driving. I flew or drive.
Okay. I was wondering, because I think there's, like, some railway that, like, isn't there something that goes underground? Like a tunnel over to England? Like, whenever I heard this, I was like, there is a tunnel under the ocean? What are you saying right now?
I think this is real. I don't know a lot about it, though, sadly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's the Euro, like, rail train or whatever, but that was, like, way more expensive than flying, so I ended up flying. I think my flight to London was, like, $19.99, literally, like, $20.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nice.
It's not bad.
Ryanair.
Wow.
It's crazy.
What was it on?
Ryanair.
Oh, Ryan. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're saying the name of the wine you drank.
Oh.
It kind of sounds like wine, right?
Yeah.
Ryanair.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like this super, it's a discounted flight service.
Okay.
And so all of the flights are like $100 or less.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up traveling a lot through that service. And it's funny because like every time it's already discounted in the first place, but then every time it lands, like the volume will go off and it's like dun 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 dun, and then everyone like there's an applause and it's like, woo, we made it. Why are we celebrating? But
let's go. The person's like in the chair next to you, he's like shaking you. It's like, oh, chill out, dude. Don't touch me.
Yeah. But yeah, I was able to visit London, Amsterdam, Paris, Belgium, Brussels, Belgium, Morocco. That one was really cool.
That's North Africa, right?
Yeah.
What city? That's a city in Africa or a country?
It's a city.
In what, is that in Libya?
I'm not sure.
See, this is why I usually have a laptop, because I pull up, like, fact check these things. Like, I'm curious about the railway, too. But, I just flaked on the idea. I forgot about it.
Yeah, I just don't remember because we were traveling by bus there.
Okay.
So I think we, like, went somewhere else, because we also went to Chef Chouan, which is, like, the Blue Pearl of the...
Chef Chouan.
Yeah, fancy.
What do you mean by the Blue Pearl?
That's what it translates to, is
Okay.
the Blue Pearl. And everything's blue there, which is cool. Like, all the walls were blue and everything.
That's cool. That's cool. Like, it's unique, you know?
Yeah.
Like, all right, this color, we're just going to embrace it. All right? you got that? You got that, Johnny?
What's your favorite color? Blue.
Yeah. Quicker next time. What's your favorite? Blue.
Yeah, it's fun.
Wow, that's really... I wonder if
go back.
they probably just call blueberries just blue.
Those berries over there.
Yeah. What was your favorite area in all of Europe?
Oh, Spain. I loved Madrid, honestly. Like, I really liked the culture, and I liked how there were so many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty similar to America in like the mindset and values and like day-to-day life. It's very westernized, but it still had like a slower course to it. Like the course of the day went a lot slower, and like there was like a siesta time, which is kind of like your break time in the middle of the day from like 1 to 3 or something.
Okay.
So like stores shut down and people siesta. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I like that. And then there are like little tapas everywhere, so if you like go to a restaurant and order a drink, you get like a little food.
Okay.
Like a little tapa. And of course the dancing. So they had all of that like Latin
Really? Are they
dancing.
notorious for that?
Yeah.
No shit, really?
Gosh, I can't think of the name of it right now, but like the long red dresses and like the flower in the hair and the fan.
Oh, I know.
You know what I'm talking about?
You painted a really good picture, but I have no idea. Salsa? That's all I know.
There's more.
Ballroom
There's
dancing.
Crap, I can't remember right now. It was like a year ago, but yeah, it was nice. It's very like a romantic kind of culture.
Okay. Wow. What was your main takeaway? Like, was there any like maybe like absolute truth or like something you're like wow, like just a shift in perspective that you had?
I think the biggest thing that I took from traveling was that people can live and be happy in so many different ways. And you just have to you can live your life without conforming to what's around you and like still be happy about it. You know, you can just like find little things and like let that like make you happy instead of letting something else determine your happiness, I guess. That was me personally though, because like before I feel like there was so much that I just didn't even think about, and I just like agreed like that's what life was.
Mm-hmm.
And like after traveling I realized that life can be so many different things, and it does mean so many different things to different people, and that just living is enough. Like you can just live.
I like that. I don't have anything to say to it, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and I also learned a lot of Spanish when I was there, so that was nice.
That's cool.
But it was really just seeing how many different options there are in life, and how none is really better than the other, besides your judgment of it.
That's really what my travel experience like opened me up to as well. Good point. Like, wow, all this is so different. This is all so different from. And I've only been in the U.S. Like, I mean, I was in Jamaica when I was like 2, but this is just in the U.S. And like, I was like, wow, California is so different from Missouri. Like, this is a very like eye-opening like way to like, oh, more people are open-minded here. And like you said, like, it's not like there are things I like about Missouri more. Like me personally, that I like about Missouri more in comparison to California, but I don't consider one better than the other. I don't know. You might say the pros and cons stack up in one state's favor, but at the same time, like there are so many like it's just different. That's all it is.
Yeah, like it's all just based on your own perception of what is good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that if you just live what you think is right, then you'll attract that, and you can go somewhere else. You can see different things and gain experiences, and let that shift you into something else. You know.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think more people do that?
More people travel?
Or why don't you think, like... Because I feel like most people, like, we're on the topic of tourists versus, like, travelers. Like, I feel like Americans are really shitty at, like, gaining a new perspective. Like I feel like Americans travel and almost, like, just to get away. It's, like just, like, an escape from their normal life. It's like, what? You only get a few weeks to do that? Like me, personally, I like to travel for, like, a heightened perspective on the world.
Yeah, I think there's a really large fear of the unknown. I think that's has like tracked America.
Uncertainty.
Yeah, that's kind of like been on the back burner throughout our history. It's just like a basic like fear of the unknown, and that you should probably be on the defense against it, and like you should be planned out and take care of yourself and not really trust other things to do that for you because they don't have the responsibility to. And so going out and, like, not having a plan is, like, kind of opening yourself up for bad things to happen to you. Like, that kind of mental concept, which can be false.
Good point. Yeah, since we're always prepared and that's so, like, out of our control of what's going to happen, like, we choose to, like, oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be tragic. Good point.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't know that, so it could be bad, you know. I could just go with this that I know. Just go with everything that I know, which makes sense, but it also limits you.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I've noticed that I'm very different from most Americans in that aspect. Like I like the idea of the unknown. To me, it excites me. Like, and I feel like I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to think, but I think more people would feel more liberated, feel more free if they like would take the unknown route a little bit more. Like, I just hate routine, though. I'm also, like, I see the importance of preparation and trying to prognosticate what the future holds. But at the end of the day, like, it's kind of impossible. And I like the idea of, like, wit and thinking on the fly and thinking in the moment.
I think that's where the true, like, power comes from. You know, like, if you listen to people who are, like, actually successful, they let themselves take these random opportunities. And they let it change them. And they let themselves, like, develop from that and, like, bring on new things.
Absolutely.
Whereas, like, if you're just kind of, like, stuck thinking, this is all I know, this is what life is, you're not letting anything happen to you. But I'm kind of, like, seeing how that can be beneficial and how, like, knowing yourself is really important, too. And, like, just, like, letting your own self-identity, like, giving that its own respect is important. But just not to the extreme where you're not letting anything else in.
Okay. Yeah, it took me a second to process that. That's interesting. No, it's cool. Also, my focus is not necessarily heightened today, so I apologize for that.
You're fine.
That's interesting.
I think that's like, for a long time, I mean, just the purpose of life and like why we are here has bothered me a lot, and that's like the closest thing that I have to an answer is just being like alive and just like letting the moment, just being present and conscious, because like it's such a basic thing to say, but it's so hard to do, and just like being present and like allowing yourself to be open to opportunities and like letting it take you places and like seeing what happens.
It is really hard.
Yeah.
People are gonna have to get over a lot of fears, whether those fears be innate or learned. And I think our culture, like, pushes a lot of fears down your throats, and maybe that's another part of the agenda.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is like, like if you're living like that, and then if you make mistakes, people are like, "Well, you're living like that." You know, it's kind of not really. It's kind of frowned upon. You know, you should just be normal.
Oh, you're saying?
Am I saying
oh,
this right?
No, I get what you're saying. So you're saying if people are like living in the moment and like less preparation, then they'll, like, society will judge them as like that's wrong. That's wrong.
Right. Like if that's like if you have problems, it's like, well, maybe you should try harder. Like, make better choices.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're like very quick to like a quick fix. Like, oh, this is your problem. Here you go. Here's some antidepressants. You know, like
Yes.
like why not just sit and talk this through? Like, I don't know. Like that's something I'm pretty good at. That's helped me like solve a lot of life problems. Is like thinking things through like objectively and being able to solve those problems. But at the same time, I feel like we're all pretty good at it. And like a lot of the time, people just don't have that outlet to like get to like somebody else talking. Because like your own thoughts, like it's hard to like pick apart problems within your own head sometimes. But like I feel like some people may not necessarily have that person that's going to listen to them and listen to their problems and what they're dealing with. So they're going to handle it differently.
Expressing your problems, you don't have to necessarily look for a solution, but you just have to like get it off your chest. You know, like for someone who's listening to, because I think that's another thing is like people who don't want to talk about difficult things, it's because they don't have a solution to it, and so it's kind of hard to like hear someone talk about all the bad things without like offering some sort of help. But if there's like, sometimes that's the best thing you can do is just listen.
True.
I think that helps. Like that, just be there. And just be like, hey, what's up?
At the same time, though, it's like it's a difficult situation. So like, why feel the need to solve my problems like right off the bat?
Yeah, cause conflict.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, good point. Like, why not just open up, listen to them, and because I have a lot of good friends, like even like good friends of mine that I still would not consider them to like care about my problems, to even listen to them. A lot of the time, I'm gonna say all my friends. Like I have some really good people in my life, but like at the same time, like I have good friends that I really do not think like if something isn't this dog adorable?
Oh my goodness! Hi. Is he yours or your roommate's?
He's my new roommate's.
Oh, what's his name?
I love this dog. It's like perfect size in my personal opinion. His name is Rex.
Hi, Rex. Oh.
Oh. Daddy's calling. His ears perked up. You see that? As soon as Keenan said his name.
I love that.
What? I don't remember what we were talking about.
I don't either. I just love animals so much. I'm so happy I got to see them.
So ADHD. Dog! Oh my goodness!
Yes. Yeah, dogs are great.
Absolutely. On that the topic of me asking like what you've learned from like your travels.
Yeah.
Something I really took away, because this guy, I was working at Steak and Shake at the time as a server, and I partially because I got along with this guy so well, and also because I just wanted to get out of work. But I talked to this guy for an hour straight at work, like, and that's a no-no for a serving job. And I ended up getting fired. I don't know if that's why.
Man.
I think that might have played a reason why. But anyway, this dude, he was probably like 70 or something. I asked him, or he had traveled all over the world. He's like, yeah, I've been to this. I think he said that he's been to pretty much all the continents. I don't think Antarctica, but like he pretty much. What I'm trying to say is he's traveled like a lot. He's been around the world, and I asked him like, what's your main takeaway? Like, what's like the one thing that you've really learned from traveling so much? And he's like, people are people everywhere you go. Like everybody, we're a lot more similar than you think we are. And
that's true.
I like that. Like, that's actually stuck with me. I never thought like a guy working at Steak and Shake would like change my perspective on the world, but he did. He did.
Yeah, and it's so true. Like, no matter all the people that you see, or like what their status is, like they're humans capable of happiness and pain that are living at the same time you are for some miraculous reason. And I mean, that alone should be enough.
Absolutely. Like, like they're probably experiencing similar problems to what you're going to go through, what you have been through, or what you're going through at the moment. Like we can all relate a lot more if we just take the time to like listen and consider other points of view.
Exactly, and I think that I heard this one thing, and it's like everybody that you see and meet is kind of a reflection of who you are and yourself, and if you don't like someone, then it kind of shows you areas of your life that you need to work on, because it's like if someone's acting this way and it's bothering you, then you're seeing that in yourself, and you don't like that about yourself.
Okay.
That's why it's so annoying to you.
Well, what about this? I had a roommate that I lived with, and I just couldn't get myself to like open up to the guy, and it's not that I didn't like him. Like I liked him. I think he had some great qualities, but it was similar. He had some qualities that were like deal breakers, and I was so turned away and so closed off to him for those qualities. And it's not just one or two qualities. It was a fair amount. Not to bash on that individual, but he had a fair amount of qualities that I didn't want to see develop in myself. Like being, for example, one of them I consider was conceited. Like I had no desire to be conceited. Like I want to stay as humble as I possibly can. If anything, I want to get more humility in my life. And I don't want to be a pompous person. And so, like, it wasn't that I saw it within myself. It was more that I wanted to prevent it from being a part of me.
Yeah, I think that, like, definitely, like, recognizing that and, like, seeing that, how it's, like, reflecting into your life can shape your opinion against somebody more than someone else. Like, it shapes your opinion subjectively. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important to consider, that it's not that that's a bad person and that they're terrible humans, but they're just qualities that they're reflecting in your own self that you don't like. And that's all that it is.
What about a past self, maybe?
Yeah, or past self, or just like your soul or your subconscious that you just really don't like. And it's like it's like a way to like think about your own anger and your own opinions. Because I kind of like used that kind of thinking to help me get along with people that I wouldn't agree with. Okay. It's just like just knowing that they are functioning to the best of their ability and their best of their consciousness, and like to think about that and like how that their actions are reflecting in my life, and like just like that and not who they are, like they're not a bad human. It's just I don't like how this is reflecting in my life, you know? Okay. To try to, like, not give out negative energy towards them, but just know that this is something that I don't want or I don't like.
That's what I was struggling with that whole entire time I was living with that individual, because I tried not to be negative towards him and only be, like, a positive influence in his life. But it was difficult for me, because I didn't want to see that in myself. Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's difficult. It's interesting, though, to think about it, because, like, subjective. Just one, like that, how you felt was different than how somebody else felt about them, Absolutely. Obviously. So just, like, it just makes me think about how anger is developed and how, like, emotions are developed and what they mean, instead of just letting them control your decisions. Because there are a lot of difficult people in my life, and just knowing that, like, how they're functioning doesn't have to necessarily control how I live, and I don't have to get upset about them, but it's just what they're going through right now, you know? It's just the energy that they're creating right now. I don't like that.
It's not them. It's not them. Like, it's not yeah, good point, because we do tend to create like a concrete definition of this is who this person is, but your good point, like you never really know what they're dealing with, so you never know what they're going through, and maybe they're treating you badly because it's an insecurity in themselves, which is unfair to you, but you don't have to get angry at them in return. Like, have you ever heard the expression, like, well, you can derive just starting like context clues, but like fuck me, fuck you. Like, it pretty much, if somebody's sending hate your way, then you have to hate them more in return. And, like, I just don't agree with that at all. I think that's the incorrect way to handle it.
Yeah, I think that kind of like hinders growth and productivity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just like even people you don't really know.
Camera died. No worries.
Okay.
It happens all the time. Oh, that's good.
Oh, okay. You sure?
Yeah, because I just like overlapped it, at least in the YouTube clip, with like a picture or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're good.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's... I've kind of been trying to use that thought process with people who are difficult to be with or to be around. Just like knowing that, like, I don't need to be angry at you, or like I don't have to let you make me angry, but I just have to like know that, like, I don't agree with the energy you're putting out right now, but it'll go away because everything's temporary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, I've never thought about it that way. Like how I've heard that exact line, but I've never put that much like amount of thought into it, and to realize how subjective all your relationships are.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about it.
It's kind of the beauty of it, and also the because like you said, like how somebody else is around that particular person might not be how you are, which is that is interesting, because I feel like in the past I've trusted people's opinions of other people too much, to where I've closed myself off to other people. Like, oh, they're just an asshole. They're just a douchebag. Oh, really? That's all they are? That's all they are? Or is that just your personal opinion of them because you had one bad encounter with them and you labeled them as this terrible thing from then on?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, I try not to do that. Just kind of, like, I've always kind of been like that. It's not necessarily good, but also, like, if someone does, like, one bad thing, I don't consider that to be a bad person. They're just living and figuring it out.
True.
They're gonna change. Or it's just about your character, not really, like, I don't know.
Good point. That is a really good point, because people aren't, and some people might be bad at that point in their lives, or like what you consider as bad, but at the same time, your definition of bad is subjective, and if they are what you consider evil, then they're going to be a whole new self in 10 years. And they might be some of the like meanest people I've met end up being the nicest people in like the long run of things, you know?
Yeah, you have no idea how life will transform you.
True. And maybe they just had some shitty external conditions that they handled poorly. I mean, not that I'm going to tell anybody how they should handle their own like problems, but maybe they just handled it by being angry at the world and things like that. But like, if you hear their story and what they've gone through, like, you're like, wow, that is really shitty. I'm sorry that happened to you. And like, I feel like I actually tweeted this the other day, but I find it really interesting whenever how quickly you can turn anger and hate and spite towards another person into pity, just through like, or even a love with just like compassion and empathetic thinking and logical thinking about like where they've been through. Absolutely.
Yeah, because they're gonna grow old and die just like you will. You know, they're gonna go through heartbreak and like sadness and mourning just like you will.
True.
And you're just dealing with it differently.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I feel like
it's weird.
All of us do kind of deal with pleasure and pain, like almost inevitably. Like we are really similar. We are really similar, all of us.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add, or should we call us quits?
I'm good. If you want to talk about anything.
Nothing comes to mind except for that I'm extremely, extremely happy that this happened.
Yay!
Because there's always the chance that it couldn't, but I know we talked about it like most of the semester, because we met early on in the semester, right?
We always have like crazy conversations that snowball into a bunch of different topics. So
whenever we're studying like an hour before the test.
But consciousness.
Yeah. Hey, do you know what about chapter 8? No, but consciousness.
Yeah.
That is funny. Yeah, you. This is what I love about doing this so much, and like everybody, like the free will topic, like you expose me to like new aspects that I've never heard before, and like your opinions on things and your perspective on things, and So thank you for that.
Yeah, anytime.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, I'll be in Springfield another year and a half. And
Cool.
when do you graduate?
I have 2 more years.
2 more years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be the semester right after me.
Yep. Looks like it. And I'm on the fence about a master's, so possibly 4 more years.
Ooh. Master's at Missouri State? Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Lots of options out there.
True.
So, yeah.
Do you think you'll stay in Springfield after that? No?
No. And then I'm leaving.
I couldn't see you
Someone
staying
literally
here.
told me the other day, like, I was at work too, so it wasn't even like something personal. They were just like, we started talking about politics, and they were like, yeah, everything about you just says Democrat. I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Especially if you disagree with them. It's like, all right. I've also heard that. People have told me that too. They're like, oh, you're so Republican or you're so Democrat. I'm like, no, I'm nothing. I'm neither, actually.
That's funny. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, JoAnne, for coming on.
You're welcome, Jordan, anytime.
Cool. Well, that concludes episode number 75. No big deal. Just 75 episodes.
Woo!
No big deal. That is really cool. That is crazy to think about. Yeah. Thank you for your time, and bye.